We were just finishing up the Tyson Fury fight. We had that big boxing match this weekend.
Oh, yeah?
Biggest of all time. $60 million just for walking in for the both of them in Saudi Arabia.
Tyson Fury as in Mike Tyson?
No. That's
yeah, okay, that's in July, right?
yeah, that's Tyson and Mike Tyson and
Logan?
no, Jake, other brother, the younger brother.
Okay.
Yeah, so we just watched that. Matt Sprague going off as always. So yeah, how's the week, Mother? Anything interesting happen? I don't think I talked to you all week.
Anything interesting happened this week? No, not really. Putzing around, doing some projects. Broke the window in your room.
Did you really?
Fixed it today. It's the piece, not the glass.
Oh wow.
You know, they fold in and the bottom piece cracked last night. Dad was away, so I put it to the side because I didn't want to make it worse.
Right.
So we fixed that. Dad had the hot glue had the hot glue gun out.
Heating it up.
Heating up the hot glue. I walked away. I'm like, I don't know. Do what you gotta do.
I got
We
to
worked on that air conditioner.
I went to go pick up my car because I got the new windshield.
Oh, yeah.
It's looking good.
Yeah.
Aunt Sue took me to that park over there. They have a full disc golf course in the woods. You know what disc golf is?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I can.
But now it's like it's an actual course in the woods. There's no
Okay.
way I'll be able to do it, but you should tell Dad to bring some frisbees when he comes. It's either going to be the most fun idea I've had or the worst.
Yeah, you never know until you try, though.
Yeah, that's why I'm like,
Try.
yeah, it's an opportunity. But I told Kenny, because it sounds like Kenny's going to be here, because as of last week, we were all talking about the big 90th birthday fiasco. Kenny says he's probably going to be here for the week, and so he's probably going to be down before you guys. And
Okay.
Aunt Sue showed us that, showed me, I should say, there's a fishing hole, like right off where that disc golf thing is. This park is massive, and it's right by my place. And it's got volleyball. It's got 8 volleyball courts. There's no way that many people in a town play volleyball. I refuse to believe it. But it has jungle gyms and all that stuff. But more importantly, it has this fishing hole that leads right into that river right there. You know, Kenny likes fishing. So I told Kenny,
Yeah,
he
he
was like,
does.
whoa.
Something to do.
So hopefully
I'll kill some time.
Yeah, for when he's bored here. Because
I sent you, because you probably didn't look at it, all of the parks and recreation things that Craven County offers, including volleyball lessons,
which I don't
tennis,
want. Which I don't
golf,
want. Which I don't
golf.
want.
Well,
I have an
there's
uncle that
also-
plays golf every day. He could teach me. Go ahead.
Hold on to your hat. Adult league kickball.
Why would I want to do that, Ma?
Because you've always said, I would love to do adult league kickball.
I don't think
there
I've
you
ever
go.
said that.
There you go.
Yeah.
I originally looked at the Y to see if they have, like lunchtime basketball or something to do, cardio, and you get to meet some people. They don't have that at your Y.
Wow.
They have like pickleball. I couldn't find any. There's an adult league, but it sounded like kind you have to join up with a bunch of people and get a group team together. So I nixed that one. Just something informal. So then I said, well, let me look at Parks and Recreation in Craven County. And they do have a lot. The softball that Jordan was talking about.
My cousin Jordan.
Yes. Oh, I forgot we're recording. Yes. So anyhow.
Yeah, so
You should take a look.
I saw the softball fields. That park is one massive, two. There's so many things there. There's paths like crazy. So I told Aunt Sue maybe you and I'll go for a walk when you're here, because there's it's not just so they have like a track, and I say like a track because it's not quite a track, but it's shaped like a track, and it goes through kind of the park. Like everything's in the center of it. It's weird how it works, but I believe it's a standard track, like 4 laps is a mile. And then there's a through the woods track that looks pretty cool.
Yeah.
And then there's also a historical track that Aunt Sue was like, oh, I'll do that with your mother. So,
Okay.
yeah.
You get to tour New Bern. Is that what it is?
It's like the woods between the road and Aunt Sue's house. So, so I don't know how much history you're fitting in there.
Not really.
Yeah, there's not
Not
much.
much going on in New Bern.
You come out to a Dunkin' Donuts.
Pepsi.
Yeah, yeah. For people that don't know, New Bern, where I live, is ground zero for the Pepsi factory. This is where Pepsi originated. So everyone here, if you go to any restaurant, the only thing they have is Pepsi. Very rarely will you find Coke. It's that land. Well, that's okay. Everyone drinks Pepsi in our family.
Pepsi family. That's
Our dad used to hoard Pepsi like no one else. It was like a cocaine addict, but for Pepsi. We had in our garage at home, my parents' place, we have a shelf for like Gatorades, waters, whatever. I remember coming home from school and it was the top shelf was just water and Gatorade. The bottom four were just liters of Pepsi.
Because for a while their soda was cheaper than water.
Right.
With so many deals, they were giving the stuff away.
Yeah. Dad would get like how many liters for $5 or whatever it was. Our dad loves a deal. That's what you gotta know about that.
He wouldn't let me pay more than $1 for the 2 liter. It had to be on sale. But then when it was on sale, we would make multiple trips to the store to stock up on it until we realized it gets like skunky after.
Oh yeah, you can't. Yeah, it loses its fizz in the heat. Because in New Jersey, it's so I don't know if it's humid is the right word, but the garage there's no AC or anything, so it would be so hot in the garage. It would be hotter in the garage than it was outside. So the heat would get into the Pepsi and it would expand. And when you expand and it stays like that, the carbonation kind of basically depletes. So you'd buy. Guys, imagine having $40 worth of $1 Pepsi like 2 liter bottles. It was so much Pepsi.
Yep. Yeah. Not anymore though. I'm not buying it. I haven't bought it. Dad hasn't asked for it, and nobody else drinks it. Your brothers are all water.
I can see Dad on the weekends sneaking Pepsis.
I told him he can. He just doesn't drink as much of it,
Yeah.
I don't see him drinking on the weekends, and now we've got Waterboy home. So.
Yeah, Michael only drinks water. The sodium. I was talking to Mike the other day about sodium. He was like, what does this have to do with sodium? It was like something that models recommend for, like I said, diet, like modeling tips. And I was telling him carrots have keratin that's great for skin on your face, basically. And he goes, what does this have to do with sodium? And I was like, nothing, Michael. Doesn't have anything to do with sodium. I was just saying. But
yeah, well, we fed you too much carrots when you were little and your face turned orange.
This is a true story. I blame my parents for all my problems.
That's right. Don't go crazy with
the reason I didn't get into Harvard was because of those damn carrots.
Yeah, sure, that's why. Yeah.
Yeah. What else was I going to tell you? I felt like there was one other thing. It'll come to me. It'll come to me. It's gone. It's gone. Yeah.
I have to talk to Ken because he said he was coming home on Sunday. I said, what Sunday would that be, Kenny?
Well, Kenny told me the plan, and I'll cut this out.
He said next Sunday. I go, how could you possibly come next Sunday when you have an event to go to next Sunday, right? The 26th.
Right.
Oh, I thought there was an extra week in there. So his calendar was way off. So he thinks he's coming this way. He said Tuesday or Wednesday.
Monica's next weekend?
I know, but he said he was coming home next Sunday. I said, you can't possibly be coming home next
Sunday. Yeah, you want to hear the plan that Kenny gave me yesterday that I was like, I don't think that's going to work. He was going, so I think we mentioned it, but Kenny has to go to Monaco next weekend for something business related. Kenny's plan was to bring the cat to you guys so that when he comes back, you guys can bring Missy and Bo down for the big 90th birthday party. I was like, I don't know how Missy's going to do it in an 8-hour car ride.
Yeah. Let alone Bo, let alone me in the back with 2 animals, right?
Right. And Michael.
Crazy.
Well, yeah, that could either go. That's one of those things where that could go very, very well or very, very poorly. And I'm leaning towards poorly.
Well, it's just too much because then Dad has to drive home with the dog and the cat and Michael.
Well, no, because Kenny would fly a New Bern with the cat down to Miami.
Oh, he'd take it back.
Yeah.
All right,
so you would just have Bo.
Know. Yeah. Well, I think it's going to be challenging enough just with Bo and Michael.
The other thing is, realistically, Kenny's going to be here before you guys are here because Kenny has that wedding the 8th in Virginia. Yeah. Then he plans on doing the 5-hour drive to New Bern to a rental, which I guess is possible. I don't know how much he wants to do that. Then he wants to stay with me for the week because Grandma's birthday is the 14th, right?
Well, and also that rental's going to cost a fortune because he's not returning it where he got it from.
Yeah, he would get it at New Bern. That's why I'm like, man, you might as well just fly from Charlotte to New Bern at that point.
Yeah, I don't know why. Well, Charlotte's kind of far.
Well, whatever is closer, whatever the airport is.
Well, we looked up his weddings in Lexington, Virginia. There's nothing around there. Let's just never look at it. There's no airport.
How's he getting there?
I don't really know. I have no idea. I don't know what he's flying into. I haven't spoken to him about it since he mentioned he was going to this wedding. I said, well, where is he? He said, Lexington, Virginia. So I looked it up after talking to him. I'm like, there is nothing around there. I think the nearest airport's like 2 hours away.
Where do we know whose wedding this is?
No, I have no idea. It's a friend of his, I guess. But anyhow, I guess they're not expecting a lot of out-of-town guests because it's a wedding with no airport nearby. Yeah. So I don't know what he's going to do. I have to...
I know I'm going to get the call. Chris, can you pick me up in Lexington? There's no way I'm going to Lexington.
For some reason, Susan decided she should be involved in this because I mentioned to her this wedding's in Lexington, and I don't know what Kenny's plans are. So she started looking at both these airports and trying to figure out the best thing to do. And my take on it was he should fly to Raleigh and either see Grant and maybe meet you halfway.
That's possible, yeah. Well, Raleigh at that point, Raleigh's about two hours. It's give or take.
Yeah,
it's not that far. So I wouldn't mind.
So you go an hour, he goes an hour, and you meet somewhere. That made sense to me. But then, the idea of Kenny renting a car and driving, I'm like, wow, that's long, first of all, and that's
Lexington?
Expensive. Yeah, that's going to be expensive. So I think he has to think that. Maybe he has thought it through. I don't know. I mean, it's for him to kind of decide. But talk about feast and famine. He never drives.
Yeah, Kenny doesn't even have a car down in Florida, so
it's crazy.
Yeah, so Kenny said he's going to spend the week with me, which I think by day 2 he's going to be bored. Nice. So.
Yeah, but why does he come for the week? Just because he's coming from the wedding?
Yeah, because he's not going to go back to Miami and then back up. It doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
So he's probably going to stay with me. I mean, given he can hang out with Aunt Sue and all those guys, you can use the car, but.
Well, we'll probably be down Wednesday. I think Dad said Wednesday of the week.
So Wednesday, Thursday, Friday's probably the birthday party, or Saturday. So as you guys can tell, streams are going to be very interesting that week, if at all. I probably won't do any, but.
Well, I have to chat with Dad about that because we said Wednesday, but I need Dad home to pick me up at the airport with Grandma.
At what time?
It doesn't matter what time. I just need a day.
Wait. Back home. When are you getting home?
Anytime after Dad leaves.
Yeah, but okay,
so drive with Grandma.
But do you have a plane ticket yet to come back, or have you not gotten that?
No plane ticket yet, nor does Grandma, because I don't know the dates yet. So the thought was, Dad wanted to stay till Sunday, and I said, well, that's fine. I think you'll hit a lot of traffic because that's Father's Day, but I said that's fine. But then you have to be home to pick me up, and I'll fly home Monday.
Can't the Greta's pick you up after all we've done for them?
Well, that's true. Well, I just have to make sure because they're so, as I often say to Mrs. Greta, you're useless to me. She might know them she's not around, but I can mention to her maybe she could pick me up. But the point is, from then, the next day, I got to drive Mom up to Lake George.
Yeah.
So, and I wanted to be back in time for Wednesday, the 19th, because Mike has an appointment. So I was hoping to be back by then. So I'm cramming a lot into 2 days. I'm going up to Lake George, staying for the day, or not even, staying overnight. It's a little crazy. So we have to iron it out a little bit better. I don't know. But
getting to there seems to be the easy part. It's the getting home that's the hard part. But let me tell you guys, this party's going to be sick.
Yeah.
It's going to be sick.
A rockin' 90-year-old party.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know about that. We'll
annoying the neighbors.
Payback.
Yeah. But I'm hoping we could use the office for maybe do a bunch of podcasts.
Yeah, fine.
Might as well bang some out just because we have everyone together.
I'm off the clock because, it's during the week. I only do Saturdays.
Yeah, you don't want to lock them down. Do some ahead of time so that you could take a couple weeks off.
I told you I'm going to roam around the party with the microphone. I'm going to do a live podcast at the 90th.
Yeah, we could do that. I just don't know how. I don't know how you would do that. You would need some kind of microphone for the phone that's a solid microphone. I don't know. I've never thought that one through, honestly. Like, you can't use any of these because these have to be wired to a computer. Technically, yours is a flash drive, right? So.
Yeah. Well, Michael could follow behind me.
Yeah. Michael, hold this laptop.
Follow me with the laptop.
You're an intern.
That's one less person for me to interview, though.
Yeah. So, I mean, I'm fine with setting one up, doing one with me, Kenny, and Mike at least, and then maybe one with you and Dad. I don't know.
Oh, that was me and Susan.
We could do that, too. We could do, 4 or 5. Maybe I could do one with Uncle while he's down there, too.
And then he's not going to. Then you're going to have Grandma hovering in the background. What are you doing?
Well,
Why can't I be on it?
Well, she's we'll be at the office though,
Yeah,
so
okay.
she could hang out with Aunt Sue or whatever.
Yeah.
Or when Aunt Sue does it, she can hang out with Dad and Uncle Jerry. See how that one goes.
Yeah. I was doing fine. Then Michael came
Puppy.
down and Bobo followed him.
Oh wait, that's not
Yes.
Michael. Is that Michael or Bo?
Michael came down and Bo followed him, and now Michael left and Bo stayed. I was doing fine. It was nice and quiet down here.
God damn it, Michael.
Now my buddy's here. Oh boy.
Puppy.
Anyhow.
All right, you ready to get this started, Mother? We got
Yeah.
some stuff to talk about. I want to start out
have-
with this one because this one I want your this could either go one of two ways. You're either gonna like this one or not. Boom. So did you see this? Trump versus Biden. Basically, Biden did the call out. It was like a UFC fight. He's like, "I'll take you anytime, anywhere, buddy."
Yeah. And then I heard no audience or no,
Yeah.
and they put all these limits on it.
So
I
the
don't know.
rules on it are kind of interesting, and I don't know how true they are, like in the sense of I've seen a bunch of different iterations of it, so I don't know which ones are right or wrong. But so CNN's doing it, which isn't really surprising. So there's two of them, right? There's a June or a July and a September, I believe. And first one's CNN, the next one's ABC. I don't know the hosts. I don't know if they mean anything to you, but there's
they just recently announced who the hosts were. I think yesterday.
Yeah, it says it on here. So June 27th is the first one. So next month. So Jake Tapper and Dana Dash will Bash will moderate CNN's June debate, and then ABC will be moderated by David Murray, I guess is how you pronounce that, and Lindsay Davis. I don't know if you know those people, but
I can't read it.
So
I can't see
it says anchors.
Right here. David Muir, yes, and I don't know. I might know Lindsay Davis's face. David Muir, I think he does the nightly news.
Right.
Their 7:00 news.
Right. So there's couple things. No audience, which is interesting because Trump tends to work better with audiences. That's not really new, right? He likes to play into a crowd. So I think that kind of shoots him in the foot a little bit. I don't think it's really going to matter in the end, but that's whatever. The other one, which I'm very interested in seeing how that works out, is they're going to do time limits and then they're going to mute mics. So the second it hits that timer, your mic gets muted. Not exactly the best way of doing that, in my opinion, because as us who are podcasters, we prefer the long form. So if you're cutting people off and they can't get their opinion out there or their idea out there, that kind of annoys me a little bit. Now, my other question is it going to be like, oh, Biden gets to run on and Trump just gets cut right away? That's where I want to see how hard they follow that rule on Biden.
Yeah, I mean, if that's the rule, and it'll be pretty obvious pretty quickly if they don't follow the rule. I don't know that that's as big a deal as long as you allow each person to have a rebuttal.
I agree.
And, frankly, when you look at old debates, traditional debates, I don't know, maybe even pre-Trump, but even before, I would say it wasn't so bad with Obama and Clinton, but that's usually how it was. You didn't talk over each other very rarely.
Yeah.
There was not many back and forths like you see nowadays. And I don't know if you recently saw what was going on in the House of Representatives
with
women.
Marjorie Greene. Yeah, man, what a
Not
bad
just her,
look.
but the other one, AOC, and another woman who started it. Was her Beckett, Crockett?
Well, I have to say, I think Marjorie Taylor Greene kind of started that one. I don't know if you watched it, but
I didn't see the whole thing. I just saw a clip of Comer addressing something. So they obviously clipped off what was being said beforehand. This woman made a comment that was, what's the best term? It wasn't really derogatory, but it was totally uncalled for and unnecessary about butch blonde women, something to that effect.
I don't. So I might have saw.
Green.
Yeah. So what I saw, and again, he said, she said, basically Marjorie Taylor Greene. They were finishing up the whatever they were talking about, and Marjorie Taylor Greene goes, by the way, is anyone voting for or like recommending a certain judge or something like that? And it just had nothing to do with like you can tell Marjorie was trying to start something. And again, this is from what I could tell. So maybe I'm wrong. Maybe you'll have to watch it. But she started something, and then everyone was like, why are you bringing that up in here? And then one of the ladies responded, like, I don't know why we're talking about this. And then Marjorie Taylor Greene goes, like, maybe you would be able to see it if you weren't wearing those fake eyelashes. It's like, why would you throw that in there? And so Marjorie Taylor Greene definitely started it, I would say. Unless there was something way beforehand where she was trying to get back at someone. But it was, someone had a good, go ahead.
You want to know who started it? I'll tell you who started it. Nancy Pelosi started it. She started it the day
When
she
she
stood
ripped.
behind the president of the United States and she ripped up a speech.
Yeah.
And then it was started again in the Senate when you allow a new representative to come in sweatpants and a sweatshirt, okay? The decorum has just gone downhill in our House of Representatives and in Congress and in
Absolutely.
the Senate over the last, I would say, 10 years. It's been slowly going downhill. And I totally agree. It's getting out of control. I got people hanging flags of other countries in the hallway. You got pride shit all over. You know, I understand about freedom of speech, but this is the House of the people, and go hang it in your district at home.
Yeah.
You don't have to
That's
do
fair.
it in the people's house. I just feel like it's just degrading. The decorum has just gone down. And
It feels like a reality TV show a little bit.
yes, and unfortunately, they get attention by doing it because in AOC, and I'll even say Marjorie Taylor Greene, they're not going to get the attention unless they become inflammatory, and now all of a sudden, news people want to hear from them for the shock value.
Yeah.
You know, I'm sure what AOC has to say might be valuable to her constituents. I agree with many things that Marjorie Taylor Greene stands for, but I don't appreciate it. Some of them, if they're not in front of the camera making these comments, they're totally void of any knowledge whatsoever. Which I would probably say that from AOC. I don't know about the other lady with the eyelashes. I'm not
I don't
familiar
know who
with
she
her, but,
was.
you know, and Marjorie Taylor Greene is not a dumb bunny. She's a smart woman. It just, in her frustration, I just don't like the direction it's going in general. So that's where it started, and it's only getting worse. And I think some of these men like Comer, they don't know what to make of it.
Yeah. It's you have to just let them, from their perspective, from Cohen, it's like, you can't stop it. So you have to let them fight it out, but you shouldn't do that. Because they went on for a decent amount of time before it became an yelling match.
Well, if you're a white male and one of the individuals says, "Oh, don't go there, baby girl,"
Yeah, I was like, what? It's
what
just
man is going to address that and not come out as being sexist or degrading to any of the women there? I mean,
Yeah.
it's a lost cause because of the environment we're in. No one should be using that kind of language. Okay, you know, don't say anything about eyelashes. I get it. That's ridiculous. But to be calling somebody a girl, why is it okay when a female representative does that? If a male representative did that? I can't believe where it's going.
It would go south real fast.
Right. This is what my tax dollars is paying for? And I'm not even, you know, I'm not in New York and I don't live in Georgia. But even if you support these individuals, like, all right, come on now, rein it in. We have to have some decorum.
Yeah.
So back to the original point, I don't have a problem with them shutting the mic off and cutting down on the back and forth banter where you get lost in the shuffle. Frankly, I think you have to do that with President Biden because I don't think he's able to deal with the banter. You know, it would be to Trump's advantage because he'll start babbling about corn pop or something ridiculous.
Yeah, he'll throw him off. That's
right.
If I was, and I'm not taking this from a political standpoint, I'm taking this from like a tactical standpoint. If you can babble and not like non-politics and just kind of, I don't want to say trick Biden, but like, I think it will be very easy for Trump to make him stumble. Does that make sense?
Well, yes, and he stumbled a lot before. And he still got elected, supposedly, by 80 million people. That if you notice, nobody mentions the Biden people. They don't mention those 80 million anymore.
Yeah, never.
Because it's becoming very evident that there was never 80 million. And now it is coming out in droves. There was never 80 million voters for him. Yeah. Okay? So having said that, he'll babble on and on about nothing. And right now, I mean, without the pressure of a debate, he's saying stuff that even the liberal news media is like, what is he talking about? Catching him in lie after lie after lie. That's without that stress. You put somebody in a debate situation and somebody's browbeating you, blah, 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 with whatever, facts, whatever. I mean, he was doing it before. and it was still, they let it go. When Trump was asking, I mean, the very last comment of the debate was when Biden made the comment that he was going to shut down coal or shut down plants in Pennsylvania, and Trump made him repeat it. Say that again. I want the people of Pennsylvania to hear that you're going to shut down the coal plants.
Yeah.
Total babble, but he threw it out there. Well, I shouldn't say it was total babble. He said what he was what they all knew, but he wasn't supposed to say. Okay,
yeah.
and he still got elected. So I think if it gives some decorum and reins it in, then maybe it's a good thing for both of them.
Yeah.
Because that is Trump's style to go off a little bit, and sometimes that hurts him.
Yep. When he goes off the rails, it's never good. Except for, did you see his speech? I forget where it was, but he went off the teleprompter and it was pretty good. But again, it's kind of like it's never, what he says is funny, but it's never beneficial to what he's trying to accomplish. It's beneficial to making Biden look bad. I think that makes sense? Like he's not saying, hey, this is what I'm going to work on. It's not like he's going off teleprompter to say, this is what I want to do, blah, blah, blah. It's usually, he has some good lines making fun of the current president, which I don't think is proof of, oh, this guy should be a president again. It's more so proof of he's a great speaker and good at what he does. I don't know if it helps his presidential case.
It does, in the sense that things are just so bad in this country that even with a freaking pandemic, Trump looks like he was.
That's true too.
Job. And that's not me saying it. That's polls.
Yeah. Did you?
I mean, he doesn't have to say anything. He could just tell people, look at the last 4 years, and go back to when I was president. Yeah, we had a pandemic. Yeah, it was an unusual situation, but I still think most people and most voters have said they would go back. They would prefer it.
You know what's been very under the radar? Have you seen all the stuff coming out about Fauci right now?
Yeah.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I'm surprised that's not like front news. I know it was trending on Twitter, but yeah, basically everything about the Chinese Wuhan lab thing was correct. Right? That he admits it. The masks were a bad idea. He said they did nothing. Like, this is all from his mouth at this point. So
and they just cut funding to Peter Daszak.
Yeah.
Who was funding Eco Alliance, that was funding this research in Wuhan that we've known about
the whole time. Us crazy conservatives, right?
We've known about it for a while. It's conspiracy theory, all this stuff. It was the woman that broke that story was the one in the war room, Natalie Winters, young.
It always amazes me how my mom could just pull names out like that from memory.
Well, she's pretty well known now, and she broke that story. And everybody called it crazy. And, you don't hear about it, Chris, because it's not on the mainstream.
It's not news anymore, yeah. Now we
can't.
It's
not that it's not news. They don't want you to know that.
Yeah, that's what I mean by not in the news. They take it off.
Oh, I thought you meant that they just chose not to. Yeah.
No.
They were the ones that pushed the whole Fauci's wonderful, put him on the cover of Time, and he was the greatest
Man
ever.
of the year.
And now we're the truth.
Yeah. I don't know if he was actually Man of the Year, but he was definitely being touted like that. But I was watching, I don't know if you saw, it went viral today, but Biden had some kind of press release or something today. It's a straight on video of him. It does not look good. I mean, I bet you I can find it right now real fast for you. It does not look good. You go, oh man. Oh, that's the boxing. Let me see. Bet you I can find it, Biden. You tell me what you think of this. It's going to be the first thing to come up. Dude. Yeah, look at this. Looks very weird.
You can't be pro-insurrection and pro-cop. You can't be pro-insurrection and pro-democracy. You can't be pro-insurrection and pro-American. Donald Trump lacked the courage to act. The brave women and men in blue all across this nation should never forget that. You can't be pro-insurrection.
Right, that's the first thing that everyone says. He's not blinking, and I'm like, I didn't realize that was an indicator. But to me, I'm reading off of a teleprompter, which is normal. But
you still blink when you read it.
I also want to know, like, don't his eyes, again, I'm not being rude to the president, but don't his eyes look very off? But I can't tell if that's old age or like.
Well, I don't know if I think it's pretty.
It just doesn't look like him.
I mean, the man has dementia.
Yeah.
So his eyes are not going to be normal. His walk isn't normal. He can't do stairs. He has what's called the dementia walk. It's like a straight foot shuffle. I don't know what else to say. The comments I've heard, comments I've read, and I haven't read much about the debates coming up, and you know more telling me this. The other things I have seen are headline like people are wondering if they're going. Did Biden do cocaine the last time to keep him that sharp? Is he
Oh, I
going to be
doubt that.
drugged up? I believe Trump is saying some comments about they're going to have to drug him to get him. And I don't know. I can't say that it was literally Trump who said it or somebody threw that out there.
I think he threw that out at the thing that I saw today. It's completely irrelevant from what you're referring to, but I do think they're going to have to do something here because I just can't see this guy debating with no prompters or anything. No prompters. How are they going to do that?
It's you know, you take it with a grain of salt because a month from now, with somebody like this, who knows if he'll be around?
Yeah.
I don't know what else to say. You know, I guess they're confident enough that they could put the statement out. You know, there's more and more noise coming from the left side about who's going to replace him. Last minute, who they're going to bring in, and this whole plan for him. You know, we heard this before. So the fact that he's gone this far, this long, and they haven't, you know, we have something called the 25th Amendment. They kept talking about that for Trump, if the person is unable to do it. And this is when politics come into it. I don't know if you saw, I sent you Winston, I can't think of his last name, the singer from Mumford.
Mumford & Sons?
Yes, he got kicked out.
No, I didn't see that. When did you send me
Okay,
that?
then maybe it's Winston, I can't think of his name, but he's British. He was in a popular group. He gave a speech at the Union, Cambridge, and Nancy Pelosi was there with the husband. Mm-hmm. And it was a fabulous speech. I wish you watched it. It was very good. And he spoke pretty much about populism, nationalism, and he point blank says with Nancy Pelosi, you know, basically the world knows that the United States is being run by a man who has dementia.
Yeah.
So it's not, you know, for people in this country to say, oh, you can't say that, you know, we'll kick you off. It's misinformation. The world knows it. You know, you can't stifle what everybody sees and every world leader sees. So from a national security perspective, you know, even if you think he's a legitimate president, something has to be done here. I mean, when your own media that you supposedly own, and they'll say that, when even they're starting to question, the man's just making stuff up every day.
The babbling is insane. Like the stuff that doesn't get released to the mass public, but like they'll do these things that I've seen where I don't know if Twitter picks up on it or some outlets that are on Twitter, but basically it's the stuff that Biden says that doesn't get released. So they'll do some kind of press conference that's supposed to go out at the end of the day, and it's so bad they scrap it. But I don't know if that's what every president does just because they're trying to get everything in one take. I'm going to assume his is worse because of the dementia and all that stuff. But I've definitely seen videos of him a lot more than others, but I have seen others like Obama in one where he stuttered and they were like, let's do it again or whatever. But the Biden ones are pretty bad because it becomes a ramble. It's not like, oh, I read the teleprompter wrong. It's like, hey, we're not even talking about the same thing anymore. So
right. And this is a very big concern it should be for everybody because they made such a stink with Donald Trump. He has the codes to the nuclear weapons.
Yeah, so does this guy.
When the man was like sending out bad tweets or something.
Yeah.
There was no real, and now we legitimately have a president that I hope to God somebody is not letting this man have access, but in practice, he has the codes to release nuclear weapons. That's a legitimate reason why you get concerned. Not because you don't like a president and his policies. They're even now, every time Biden says something, I've seen headlines where, oh, Trump's got mental health issues. Are you kidding me?
The headlines that I see now, and as you know, a lot of the news I get stems from Google News, so it's like the main hub and then outlets. But you could tell, I mean, some of these, just the headlines are so obscene and don't make any sense that you have to step in and be like, oh, like, can you imagine if you weren't smart enough to navigate that and just see that headline and be like, Trump can't do basic math anymore? What?
Right.
Like, that's insane.
Right.
So,
right.
I'm very curious how these debates are going to go. I just can't see them going well in the slightest.
I take it with a grain of salt. Let's see if it even happens.
That's one,
right?
yeah.
And My concern is always, why does it not matter?
Yeah.
You would think that more people on the Democratic side would be saying, please don't do this, don't do it. That concerns me more, that they're okay with that. That tells me that the debates don't matter, and that bothers me.
That scares me. Yeah,
Something
that's
wrong.
exactly how I felt too when I saw that. But speaking of speeches, NHL, well, the
NFL.
title is the NFL, sorry, I've been watching a lot of hockey. The NFL stars expressed support for Harrison Butker amid speech drama. I know you watched this speech. I only watched clips of the speech.
Yeah.
It bothers me that it just seems like the most... I don't know how you can disagree with the speech. It's very... Like, obviously, it's a liberal school, but he's just talking about how men need to...
No. Back up. That is not a liberal school.
It's
That
not?
is a Catholic university. No, it's a Catholic university.
See, I just assume all colleges are liberal and disgusting now.
No, I'm not saying that there aren't liberal ideas there.
Yeah.
I don't know the school that much, but it's a Catholic university. So you have to keep it in context, or at a minimum Christian, but Catholic, Benedictine. And that's part of the reason why the speech was in the context that it was.
Sorry, I was moving my mic because it's on like a rock. But basically, and I'm just going to... You watched it better than I did, but I'm going to sum up the part that I saw, which is basically him talking about broken homes and how it's a terrible idea to have broken homes. That's a basic summary, and what I mean by that is, like, it scares me that people debate that. Does that make... Like, it bothers me where they go, why would I want a non-broken home? That's kind of what it felt like. And a lot of people who backlashed him, like on the internet and stuff, they were like, how dare this guy talk about broken homes when he didn't come from a broken home? It's like, well, that's not the point, right? You don't want broken homes. Just look at statistics. It bothers me. My biggest, I get pet peeve is the right word, sort of, is when people look at statistical facts and then say, those aren't true. And that's what this feels like, because everything he said, it's very hard to argue. In fact, I would say it's almost impossible to argue about broken homes. Broken homes are not a good thing, right? Statistics show that, and there are people out there who go, that's not true. Like that's wild to me. But as I said, that's just kind of my opinion on it. I'd like to hear yours, because you definitely watched the whole thing, and I know my opinion doesn't really matter in comparison.
I watched the speech, and my first comment is, in general, you know how many speeches I've had to sit through or watch online where a liberal slanting person has stood up there and given their opinion and stated it like it's fact, and everybody in the audience should agree with me, or there's something wrong with you. Okay. I don't agree necessarily with everything they said, but they have a right to do it. This individual gets up there, whether I agree with him or not. First of all, it's not a public university. It's not UC Berkeley. It's not, NYU or some...
It's a Catholic university, which makes this twice as bad.
It's a Catholic university, right? So, you may not agree with him, and you may even think some of the things he says is extreme, but guess what? We have to put up with that with the liberal side. What's wrong with putting up with it in the ultra-conservative side? You can disagree with him. He still has a right to say it. And they act like, how dare they have him speak, and he's crazy, and women coming after him because he told women, when you look at the headlines, he told women that they should stay in the kitchen.
No,
that's not what he said. That is an ultra,
discredit to what he said. Yeah,
right. And he didn't say that they have to. He said it was an option that works, and it was a traditional way. And I will tell you that good percentage of the women out there, yes, there is that percent of women that want to be fulfilled with their job. They want to do something, blah, 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 blah. And many of them, after doing it for 10 or 15 years, the thrill wears off and decide, it's not so bad being at home and raising your kids for a while. So all the ones that, don't want to admit the fact that there's a lot to be said for, put it this way, most two-parent households that work do it because they have to, not because they want to.
Yeah.
And many women work because they need the job, and they needed to pay the mortgage, pay the rent, pay the bills with their spouse, whether, they're alone or not. So, and normally it's the female that stays home for a lot of reasons. We're not here to debate that, but he was making a good point that traditionally that's how our society thrived. One parent worked and one stayed home, and there was nothing wrong with that. And there's a lot to be said for that. And speaking as somebody who's worked and who hasn't, it's overrated both ways. It's overrated both ways. But at the end of the day, what is best for the next generation that you're raising? It's for one parent to be at home. And we can debate which parent that could be. Now that's optional. But still, I don't.
Well, nowadays, I would argue nowadays it's more viable to have both parents home because they can work from home, just because of how just where we're going. So
yes, that is an option now too, which is an interesting option too. And that's funny because that's the other extreme. So to your point about you can't win with the argument about dysfunctional families because one group is going to say that's racist because it's predominantly one race that has one parent household. But that is not really true anymore because you have many divorced parents of all races.
Yeah.
50% of marriages fail. So it's not a question of physically having both parents in the home.
Yeah.
You get to the point where one parent is non-existent.
That's the part. So this was the part that I was thinking about when I saw this, right? He mentions this is how it's almost like reverse racism because he's not the one that said it. White people aren't the one that said it, but the black community said it. He said something about, I forget his exact words, but it's basically there's nothing worse than fatherless homes and basically how the father's usually the one that causes problems if he leaves. And the black community was up in arms. He never mentioned the black community once. It saddens me that they expected that he meant the black community because that's how rampant it is in the African-American community, right? There's tons of people that I actually, personally, I know more people who are, and again, this is just me, but between my African-American friends and white friends and Asian friends, the most that have the divorces are my Asian friends. Isn't that kind of wild? So they're the ones that have always had the broken homes.
Yeah, that's unusual.
Yeah.
That's unusual. Even more so.
I have a lot of Asian friends too.
Asians, but weird. Yeah, I mean, you're not going to win in that argument for that reason. But the reality is, yes, it was predominantly one race that had that, but now you're seeing it in all races.
Yeah.
Is the father in the home when he takes them to dinner Wednesday nights and sees them every other weekend?
That doesn't count. Yeah.
Well, it's better than not at all, right?
Yeah, but I
It's better
wonder
than never
how
seeing a parent.
that would work. That argument statistically works with parents that like the dads that work in the city and you barely even see their kids. I have to assume statistically it's got to be about the same. But maybe the idea of having dad at home is different because dad's coming home even though you don't see him. So I wonder how that affects.
Right.
But
Right. Well, yeah, and then my generation, maybe a little bit before my generation, you never saw dad.
yeah,
I mean, if you go back to really early times, dad was in the field all day or he was at the mill all day. He came home, had dinner, he
Went to
put the
bed,
horses away, milked the cows, and went to bed.
right.
So that was the male influence, but you knew he was there. He existed, and he was the backup if things went wrong. So yes, I mean, sometimes it's a psychological reality of having a parent there, even though they're not physically there. And yeah, my generation, where I lived, wasn't true for everybody, but most of the dads, they left in the morning, they went to the city. You didn't see them till the nighttime, but they were there on the weekends. You didn't have sports all week like you do nowadays.
Yeah, I think the other determining factor for single family homes is income. So I think the difference would be the people that we're talking about, there's still a higher income because you have two parents, whereas quote unquote single family statistically is one parent making money, one not there at all financially.
Yeah, and that's the reality that we're seeing across races. It's two parents in the home is better economically also. Now, that's not to say there are those exceptions, those single moms, the Sandra Bullocks of the world that could have children and raise them. But these people are not the average American economically.
Comparing yourself to Sandra Bullock is nuts. If someone came to me and was like, "Oh, well, Sandra Bullock can do it, so I can do it," I'm slapping you across the face.
But that's what's dangerous with young people that idolize these celebrities and these stars, and that's how you wind up with 16, 17, 18-year-old young girls now raising 2, 3, 4 kids. And the reality sets in that none of the dads stayed.
Yeah.
So who has to pay the bills? The government.
Yeah.
And that's how you have a whole society or a whole group of individuals. And now you're starting to see it, especially in these economic times. It's not a racial thing anymore. It's
just
becoming
economical.
a reality.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Economical.
Yeah.
And you know what else I blame? Dating apps. I'm blaming dating apps too. Because I think people are marrying people that they don't actually love, but like in the moment. And then as you start living with this person, you start realizing that you hate each other. I think that happens more and more now.
Well, and also you have the easy out. Because generationally, your parents had the easy out, right? You saw it. You knew that in the back of your mind, if things don't work out, you can get divorced, right?
Yeah.
That's become this generation's understanding. Not to say that they don't take marriage seriously, but when you have that out, it's always in the back of your mind. My generation, it was not that common. People stayed together even though they hated each other. I don't know if that was good, bad, or indifferent, but that's what they did. So, I don't. That's why when you say that about the Asian culture specifically surprises me because they tend to be that culture.
Yeah. I'm just talking
Right.
my friend group, which it's a small sample size, so I wouldn't go by that.
Right.
I'm just saying that out of all my friend groups, which I have many, my Asian friends are the ones that have the highest divorce rates by far. Like, I don't know if I have any Asian friends whose parents are together.
Right.
To be honest, I have to think about it, but
yeah. But I didn't have a problem with his speech. I can understand why people would disagree, but there's many speeches I've sat in where I've disagreed vehemently with some of the comments that they've said, but they had a right to say it, and nobody chomped down on them like, how dare they speak at UC Berkeley about climate change and blah, blah, blah. It's an opinion. You have a right to say it. In his case, he was in the context of what we were speaking, he started the speech by saying, I didn't want to do this speech because I've already spoken, but ... He was
Right.
asked to come. They really wanted him to speak, so he
did.
brought it and gave his opinion.
It saddens me that he's the same age as me and has a beard like that. That's messed up. What the fuck? Anyway, speaking of strong men, German men with the strongest fingers compete in Bavavia's fingerhakeln. This is mom showing off her German traits because she likes the strong German men in wrestling. So, mother, would you? So, guys, imagine arm wrestling, which wasn't hard enough. So we have to use just our fingers.
Hold on. The German people look for any excuse to have Oktoberfest as often as possible.
Absolutely. They're like, how can we extend Oktoberfest to be longer? While you do that, I want to look up a video. You talk about it. I just want to see if I can find a video of this.
Well, I'm going to need the third paragraph because I didn't bring my iPad down. Or the fourth paragraph. I got to read it. But this is in Bernbeuren in southern Germany. They put up a tent. There's about 1,000 people in the audience. And it's like a giant Oktoberfest, but with wrestling. It's traditionally male only.
Right.
It originated in the German Alpine area in Austria, so I guess kind of near the border. In the old days, it was used to settle disputes. So if you had an argument with somebody, you went to the local pub or whatever.
We're doing some fingerfucking
Yeah.
or whatever the hell.
And I have to read paragraph 4 because they started to write what it's all about. I don't know if I can see from this far away.
I got you. So it says in each round, 2 competitors sit on the opposite sides of a solid table, and each one hooks one finger, usually the middle finger, through opposite sides of a small leather loop. As soon as the ref signals to start, a contestant tries to pull the other across the table swiftly. The whole thing usually lasts a few seconds. The digits put out of the joint are common, so they get dislocated. Winner moves on to the next round. Now, Mother, would you like to see the highlights of 2019?
Yes.
I do. I am interested. So it looks like a wow. Hold on one second. It's not that bad, but hold on. We'll get there.
Oh my gosh.
So it looks like they have some kind of ring that they hold on to. It's not really a leather strap anymore, but it's just a test of grip strength. Ooh. Oh, it is a string. Get in there. Look at that. He's got his foot on the table. That's got to be cheating. Look at practice. Practice, Mother. Look at that.
Look how white the finger is.
Oh, well, they have chalk, right?
Oh, is that what it is?
Yeah, they have chalk.
I thought it was stress.
Look at this. This guy's not even trying.
Got padding. You can leverage.
The Germans.
Wow.
So see, he's got powder on. Look at that. He's not even in the chair. They're just getting.
Oh my God, that's classic. Look at this.
Oh man.
Holy mackerel. Oh my God.
Wow.
That's mean if you let go. The person goes flying.
Well, there's someone behind them to catch them. That's the whole point of the guy's behind.
It looks like the lederhosen is not required.
It's not. The lederhosen. I mean, you know the champion's wearing a kilt, 100%.
No, kilt in Scotland. This is lederhosen.
Lederhosen, whatever.
Come on.
I want to know what the winner gets. Is there a... Man,
It's
but
a
look at
national
how
championship.
big... Look at how big their fingers are. Significantly bigger than most.
You get an ice pack and stitches to put your finger back on.
Some guy just pops it back into place.
Oh God, I can't even look. I don't want to see a finger being drawn off.
You would not be good with the UFC.
No, I don't like seeing stuff like that.
Look at that. That guy hasn't lost yet. There's a guy with an eye patch.
Oh my gosh. What are you reffing?
Yeah, I don't know what the... So I knew that guy was going to win. Look at it. His daughter, Olga, is so proud of him.
Oh my God. Yeah, well, it ranges in age. I think it was as high as 70 years old, some of the competitors. Yeah.
Damn. And then right to that. How are they even playing an instrument with messed up fingers like that? That guy's Asian. That guy's
any excuse to drink beer and have
any excuse.
snacks.
Any excuse.
Look how beautiful that is.
Yeah.
All right.
Next year at Oktoberfest, if we go, I'm gonna tell Uncle. Now, how about besides how great the Germans are, let's talk about how great the Canadians are.
Oh my gosh.
Disabled Canadian man celebrates escape and being euthanized by government over deaths. So, for those of you that don't know, Canada, I almost said Canada like my friends. Canada has what's called the MAID system, and the MAID system is basically what's considered assisted suicide up there.
Yep. It stands for Medical Assistance in Dying.
MAID. Yeah. So this guy was one of the first ones. I think they just started this last year.
Yeah.
Like 2 years ago,
wonderful.
maybe?
He's not one of the first ones. He got attention because a Toronto reporter picked up the story. Yeah. His name is Amir Farsood, and he has a severe back pain disability. He was in the Ontario Disability Support Program. And what that does is it pays him $1,300 a month because he can't work with his disability. So his rooming house where he lived, it's like a government house, they decided to put it on the market. So he was going to lose his home and he was going to be homeless. Now, being homeless is very different in Ontario, Canada versus, say, Florida. Yeah. So for 7 months out of the year, he was looking at some pretty brutal winter conditions. And he knew with his back and everything else, he wasn't going to survive in that. Right. So, sadly, he decided to end his life in the Canadian MAID program. He was scheduled to die. He was supposed to die in November of 2022. He easily qualified because of his disability, the back issue, which is sad. He told his doctor he was doing it for socioeconomic reasons. So the doctor knew it wasn't because he was depressed or in a lot of pain. He was doing it because he couldn't afford to live. Yeah. Right. He couldn't afford to live without a home. So what does the doctor do? He books him in for the program and says that he has unbearable suffering. That's the classification. 90 days after that assessment, you get 90 days assessment, and then you get euthanized. So a Toronto reporter picked up his story, reached out to him. A stranger set up a GoFundMe account with $60,000. And with that, he was able to get an apartment, and he canceled his euthanasia date.
Yeah, here's where I'm a little conflicted on this one. First off, I want to know what kind of POS doctor can look someone in the eyes and basically sign their death wish like that. That's a wild one to me. I can't. It scares me to think that the doctor did that and was just like, yeah, sure, I'll do it. That's number one that bothers me. Number two is how. So $1,300 sounds like enough to survive, I guess, to most people. But in Canada, I mean, well, obviously here it's not, but in Canada,
the housing was at least twice
the amount. Yeah. So, like in a situation, I don't know what you do. I don't know if they have the same things that we have here for people who are homeless, even though ours absolutely suck. But this is why I'm conflicted, because it's like, my brain says, why couldn't this guy find some form of work, even with a back issue? And then the other part of that is, how many GoFundMes can we do? I don't know if maybe I'm being insensitive here, but I just think there's so many things you can do before euthanization, right?
It's
unless you have an uncurable illness and you're in pain all the time, I don't see a reason for the euthanasia.
Well, just a general comment is, as a society, and I'll include the whole world, not just Canada, that we've gotten to this point is pretty pathetic as human beings, that others have been euthanized because they were depressed, maybe severely depressed, but they were euthanized. People have been put in this program for some questionable things. And no, we're not talking all of them were in incredible pain and couldn't survive.
Right.
This is a socialist program put in to save the government from having to support these individuals.
Right.
And I go back.
Could I pause you, Mom, real fast? Also, I believe they started this during COVID, the midst of COVID, where everyone wasn't working, depression was at the highest. So,
yes.
Go ahead.
No, this started with socialized medicine. Back in the time of, it was like the Clintons, when they started talking about socialized medicine here. They salivated the idea that we can have a program for the elderly where we can phase them out. That is part of socialized medicine, that you get to an age, put it this way, we would not be having a 90th birthday party for my mother if we had pure socialist medicine, because they would be working with her to phase her out, regardless of the fact that the woman has nothing wrong with her, right? Let alone for individuals that have Parkinson's or any sort of problem and they dare live past 80. Well, that's just too much of a drain on the taxpayer and the medical system. So here we are, perfect opportunity with the COVID to advance this idea. My point is, big picture. Government works for us. We don't work or live for the government. And that's a blanket statement, right? So for countries that choose socialism or Marxism, this is what you're going to get. The government's going to decide the good for everybody. And they're going to put a program in place. The only thing different is they're not making it mandatory. So they're basically indirectly forcing this individual. If this person is that bad off that he can't even afford housing, what type of government can help its citizens?
Right.
You're doing something really, really wrong as a government if you're economy is that bad for that long that the man can't get government assistance.
Right. And this is a guy, this isn't just a homeless guy who's doing drugs on the street, blah, blah, blah. This is a guy that actually has a medical condition and can't survive on what they're giving him. So it's not like this guy's someone that's negatively affecting himself. Again, question on if he can get a job or not. That's the one disconnect I have, where I want to see how bad it is that he can't do something.
No, I think the irony is perhaps his disability is so bad because of the health services that they
yeah,
have
that is true
Canada,
too. Yeah.
And it has made his life that bad that he can't get help. And now they're squeezing him out because they don't, they're giving him this option. And you ask about a doctor. There's probably, I don't know, but there might be an incentive for that doctor to get a certain number of people, like a financial incentive to get a certain number of people in this program.
Meet quotas.
Right, to clean out the healthcare system. It's outrageous that a government, and I'm not just singling out Canada, although they're the ones piloting this program. It's an example for everybody in the world because they're doing it over in Europe too. Is this really what we've become?
Right, yeah.
This is the best we can be in the 21st century as human beings. Now we're just going to kill these people? And younger generations, wake up. If this is the direction you want to go in, what makes you think you're going to outlive it?
Yeah. You just assume you're going to be in good health your whole life, but we all know that's not how that works.
And you can question government. I mean, our own government too. This is how out of hand it has become. And when people say, oh, we got to tear it down, I don't necessarily disagree because it's become so bad that government isn't working for the people anymore. The people are now serving the government. And when they don't serve it, the government decides you're gone, you're out. Here's a program, take advantage of it.
Speaking of medical breakthroughs, I thought this one was pretty cool. Gene therapy breakthrough allows toddler born deaf to hear.
Yes.
This was yours. So this child born deaf has been using cochlear implants. I believe that's how you pronounce them. Cochlear. Did I just come up with cochlear?
I don't know what you're thinking.
I just created a new word. Put it in the dictionary, coin it. I don't know what it means, but put my name next to it in face.
Cochlear is the center part of the ear.
Yeah.
Cochlear area.
So this girl was born deaf, has the ear implants to help her hear, but they're doing gene therapy to basically so from what I read, there's this hair in your ear that actually controls the how you hear things essentially. It dampens and controls sound waves. It's like hold on, I will find it. It's called the 50. It starts with an F, I believe.
I may have to take Bo upstairs.
Oh, go for it. I'll try and find this while you take her up. So, as I was saying, so this girl had the hair in her ears just wasn't formed. So essentially, what they did was they edited genes to see if it would work, but they only did one ear. So one ear would have the implant, and the other ear would have basically a test. What's the word? I'm trying to use the scientific term, but basically you have the one ear is edited so that it has the gene edited so it has the hairs. The other one has the implant. So after X amount of weeks, they found that her hearing was a lot better. Now, the question I have is what exactly are they changing? See, when my mom comes back, she'll tell you, but, oh, there we go. So when I hear gene therapy or gene editing therapy, I always think that's in the womb. Can you not, are we past the point where you can do that? Can you just gene edit at any time now?
Well, now they're trying this because, so I don't know how much you said. She's 18-month-old. Her name is Opal Sandy, and she's from Oxfordshire in England. Mm-hmm. She has auditory neuropathy, which is an incorrect development in the inner ear. The hair, the cochlea.
I just like how I gave a rough explanation, and viewers were probably like, oh, that's not a bad explanation. And then you come down here and you just absolutely roast me by knowing so much more. Go ahead.
I'm doing the broader strokes.
Yeah, yeah. My mom makes me look like an idiot.
For most people who have this problem or similar problems, they use the cochlear implants, which I heard you say. Surgical, you have an apparatus on the outside behind the ear and something goes in the ear. Mm-hmm. So in other words, you bypass the damaged area and the sound waves go directly to the drum and the bones.
I believe the implant is supposed to mimic what those hairs are supposed to do to the sound waves before it gets to the eardrum.
Right. So in this case, what they're trying to do is they want to try and repair the damage rather than bypass the damage.
Right.
So the healthy gene goes into a virus. They use, which you study that in biology.
Like an RNA, mRNA.
It's a delivering. Well, it's an actual virus because the virus has certain DNA that's easier to manipulate. And they put the gene in there. They inject it into the cochlea, into that center ear. And it fixes that faulty gene. But what happens is it has to take time to grow. So they put the gene in there, and the gene then has to replicate and do what it has to do and start growing the proper hairs. So Opal received the treatment about 10 months ago, 12 weeks after she had no side effects, but now she's able to hear whispers, and she's learning to talk, which is huge. Good. She has an older sister that has the same situation, but she has two cochlear implants. So they decided to try it on Opal. I don't know why her, maybe because she was younger.
Oh, I thought I read in there that they did, so she has one cochlear and one with the implant to see, did a test, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So I think the older sister has both.
Okay.
The cochlears. I think she was born the same.
I didn't realize that you can do gene therapy on one part of the body. I thought that if you were doing gene therapy, I thought you would have to change the whole genetic makeup of a person.
No, I don't think that's
how do you do one ear and not the other? You see what I'm saying?
Well, the reason I think they're doing one ear first because they want to test it. Because God forbid there were side effects, she wouldn't be able to hear it all.
Right, but do you see what I'm saying? I'm saying, like, how do you say, oh, I only want the left ear genes to change? I guess that's just a part of genes I don't understand.
Yeah, I guess because they're targeting a certain area.
I
don't know if it'll go to the other ear. I don't know if over time the genetic makeup changes and it goes into the other ear.
I just don't know how you specifically pick one ear when changing genes. But again, that's one of those things I'd have to ask a very high-end scientist about.
Yeah, I'll see if I can get more detail because they didn't go into the detail about that in the story.
I'll have to ask Uncle that one.
Talk about how it gets delivered and the name of the virus that they put it in. It's a particular type of virus. I guess, probably more technical information about it.
Yeah, so here's my guess then. The virus must be something specific to the ear, and that's how they're able to target it. So
it could be.
Yeah, because that way you're not changing the genes of the whole body. You're just changing whatever the virus is attacking.
Yeah, there is a paragraph in it that goes into the detail of the type of virus that they used. I can't see it from here.
Sure.
It's too small on my screen. But that could have something to do with it, and that might explain why it worked as quickly as it does.
Well, you know that if you click on the window, like right, you're looking at you, me, and the window right now. If you click on the window, it'll full screen the window for you. Like if you just click on the screen, like click on the box where the, like you see.
the full screen one.
Oh, we're going Discord with Mom. That's what I'm going to start calling this segment. So
It's still not really clear for me.
really?
Yeah, I don't see it, and I can't move it. You right? I can't.
Yeah.
Move the
What? Just
screen.
where
You
is
have
it?
to. Let's see. Go. Nope. Down. Oop, too far. Stop. Okay.
So right where I was. Okay.
Gene is placed into an otherwise inert virus, a dual adeno-associated virus, AAV1 vector, designed for intracochlear delivery of a full-length copy of the human OTOF gene. This virus, referred to as DBOTO, is injected into the cochlea and facilitates the replacement of the faulty gene with the healthy one. So the OTOF gene is the term for the, I'm trying to remember where I saw that at the top. There.
OTF.
The gene is called the
Bioleptic?
bioleptic otoferlin gene. That's the mutated gene. So to your point, it's a specific gene that's related to the ear. They put in a virus that seems to be somehow designed for intercochlear delivery.
Gotcha.
Interesting. But it's amazing what they're doing now.
Yeah, the gene stuff between that and the stem cells. I mean,
Yes.
we're definitely in a revolution of
There
recovery
is one
medicine.
downside to it.
What?
Opal likes to bang the cutlery on the kitchen table because she likes to hear the sound.
Aw. Hey, let me tell you, if I was that parent, I'd let that kid freaking hit whatever they want. My God, being born deaf, I can't imagine.
A little awkward for the older sibling. She's probably wondering, why can't I?
Mommy, why can't I hear? Is she the favorite?
Is Opal the favorite?
All right, kind of big segue. So this is the Hollywood looks to video games. This is our first of video game news. So this is something that you and I have talked about many times, I feel like, on this podcast. Basically, this whole thing is about how Hollywood doesn't have to make movies anymore because there's all these games that are coming out that have all these TV shows about them, whether it be, or One Piece, for instance, with the animes. Fallout, all of them are incredible. Did you watch the next episode of Fallout, Mom?
No, I have not.
Let me
I've
tell
been
you-
watching The Boys.
Are you really? How is it? How is it?
It's pretty good. It's interesting. You know,
A little
I
inappropriate from
watched
what I've
the
heard.
First season. Apparently, Michael's into it too, and he was trying to tell me about it because I guess the fourth season's coming out in June. I've seen ads for it, and I toyed with watching it, and then both Mike, I think,
And Kenny, I
maybe
believe.
Ken also told me it was good. So I was looking for something to start binge watching before I got into the Fallout one. I think because I hear that one's gotten better. I've seen some reviews about
The
that.
second one, after the second episode, I was like, oh, this is the one you and I should have watched. The second episode was really good. So,
Yeah. So that'll be my next one after I
have to
finish
catch up.
this one.
Yeah.
I'll probably finish it pretty quickly. But the movie industry is struggling.
Yeah. No shit.
Not having-
Was Snow White not an indicator, Disney? Like, you guys got rid of the dwarves. The whole point of the story. Go ahead.
For every Barbie or every Oppenheimer, you got a bunch of Snow Whites.
Yeah.
And other, So they're
A
certainly
black little
moving
mermaid.
towards- Yeah. Over time, they've kind of been shooting themselves in the foot because the movie industry keeps doing more with the CGI stuff, right? And moving more towards computer-based. Now they're taking it to the next level because producers are looking to the video game world for content. It's already built in.
Yeah.
People
Why
like the
rewrite a
concept.
story? Yeah. Why? This
Right.
is. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say examples of the Sonic movie, the Super Mario Brothers, and Fallout recently is getting a lot of attention. They're cheap to acquire the rights to these game shows, and these movies do well because you also have people advertising it just on the platforms, whether they play the games or they talk about the movie that's part of the
Why rework the
game.
wheel?
The success story that they highlight
Five Nights at Freddy's, right?
was, Friday Night at Freddy's.
Friday Night at Freddy's. Wow.
so good
Mother.
that,
Mom, you can't be messing that one up. Five Nights at Freddy's. That's the kind of shit that they'll drag you in the Five Nights at
you
Freddy's is the
sure?
name. Yes, Five Nights at
I
Freddy's.
copied that from the article.
Guys,
But I
don't
appreciate
go
copies.
after my mother. Then it's not her fault that she
Sorry,
didn't know.
folks. Where is it?
Five Nights at Freddy's is a pretty big.
Oh, yeah, Five Nights at Freddy.
yeah.
You're right. Boy, what was I looking at?
Five
huh?
Nights at Freddy's.
So-
Can I tell you something? Right, I'll take the heat for you, Mom. I was never that into those games. That's one of those games that has a crazy cult following, and it's
Yeah.
not. It's a horror game, but it's not fun. But what's interesting about that is they brought up a good point that I didn't even think about. There's no mainstream actors in that. It's all internet personalities, and it did
Right.
incredibly well. Now, my question is, what's the definition of incredibly well? Because I don't think the movie actually did fantastic. I think it did good because it had such a low budget. I believe,
Right. So
yeah.
that's the plus to this. It doesn't cost them a lot to churn these things out.
Right.
And for every, they can afford to churn out 5 or 6 that are crappy. When that one hits, it's really good. But because they didn't spend hundreds of millions of dollars making it, right? They can afford to have a couple crappy ones to build the momentum. So for this one, the Five Nights at Freddy's, it's good, so good or good enough that a sequel's coming.
Yeah.
Right? They're gonna do another one.
Because they made so much
Nobody-
money. Yeah.
Right, and you got a built-in audience because people they know the concept,
Yeah.
they're aware of it, and sometimes just out of interest, they want to go to the movie to see whether it's good or bad. How are they going to bring it to life?
The best shows in the last year, the ones that have done the best and have the highest reviews, are the ones that are based on video games and have no-name actors in it, right? And you don't have, they're getting their starts, obviously, but I think Dune's one of the very few that did well, which is the Timothy Chalamet and Zendaya or whatever. But besides that,
which is a remake, by the way.
which is a
That's
remake,
yeah.
I don't know how close it is to the originals, but to your point, it's just like, you already have a story and a script laid out. You don't have to rework the wheel anymore, right? That's why Henry Cavill's Warhammer is going to be sick unless they change it, which, again, read the article, whoever's running that one, because don't change anything. It's already perfect. People don't like change like that. Same with The Witcher. Witcher, at least it follows the story. It's made some changes, but it's still fundamentally The Witcher, even though no one likes having the Hemsworth boy in there. But, it's not hard. It's laid out. You have less work to do. Now, imagine if you had big actors doing this. I don't know if that makes it better or worse, but I'm trying to think. I feel like there was one recently that had big actors.
Well, I mean, Sonic had Jim Carrey in it, right?
Yeah, Sonic's a weird one because it's all CGI. Like, Sonic's not a real person, so you can't really associate that with a main character, like an actual main actor, I should say. So,
Right. That's the beauty of it. You don't need it.
But what's funny is that the most TV shows that are adaptations of games or movies end up doing very poorly, like Halo. I don't know. I think they mentioned Halo in there. Yeah, Halo did very poor, very bad, because they didn't follow a story. They basically said, hey, let's take the idea and the rights of Master Chief, who's the main character of Halo, and throw it out the window and make our own thing, just using the characters. It's like having Wolverine as the main character, and for some reason he has the ability to shoot laser beams out of his eyes. It doesn't make sense. You're just taking...
Well, right. That's why I think their point was, we learned our lesson from the Halo type, that you don't need to change the story. You're better off leaving it as is. You don't need Hollywood stars anymore. You could do a no-name. You could do AI people. You could do, everything CGI. So it's a recipe that Hollywood celebrities better wake up to the fact that they're becoming obsolete.
Yeah.
People don't need them anymore, and they certainly don't need them at the dollar amounts that many of them ask for. In these films.
Again, there's some that you have to cast. Like, what I mean by that is Robert Downey Jr. has to do Iron Man. You're never going to have another Iron Man. No one's going to like him, whoever it is.
But you know what? Everybody said that about Superman, and how many have we gone through? How about Batman?
Henry Cavill. Well, I saw something. So canologically, Wolverine is actually only 5'3", right? Yes. So someone commented, "This is why I always said Peter Dinklage should be Wolverine." And they did the Photoshop, and it's Peter Dinklage. He's like, and he's got the chops. It's hilarious.
Yep.
So,
yeah.
But yeah, to your point.
He's in Deadpool, so the Wolverine's getting a lot of attention because he's in Deadpool 3.
Yeah, because he said he didn't want to do Wolverine anymore, so that's why it's kind of a big deal, because he's clearly doing it just for Ryan Reynolds, and so I still have to catch up on those movies. I've never seen those, so
I get yelled at if I put on the wrong Avenger movie.
yeah.
You can't watch that, Mom, because you didn't watch Infinity War or something. Like
Yeah, those are. I have to
Okay.
catch up on those too. I told someone recently the last time I was in a movie theater was for the original Avengers movie, the original. So what is that? High school maybe. That was the last time I was in a movie theater.
There's really no. I'm gonna get in trouble with the studios.
Uh-oh.
There's no need to go to a movie theater anymore.
There's not. Yeah, truthfully, nowadays everything's going to subscription.
Right, streaming, but even at home, I mean, some of these TVs, as you know,
Yeah.
you're getting a better experience at home without all the noise, the chatter. The only thing I will say is I was glad I saw Maverick on the
God,
big screen.
you and Maverick.
But that's like the only movie I could think of.
That's 2 podcasts
No.
in a row you bring up Maverick. Just
No,
so
you
you know,
know.
I'd have to throw that in there.
Maybe they'll sponsor us, you know.
The movie franchise. Maybe imagine if we were in a cameo where it's just like us as bullets are flying down. Ma.
Right. And they are doing a Maverick 3, by the way.
It
Top
did
Gun
so well.
3.
It makes sense. I don't know why they wouldn't.
Well, they can't wait 30 years because
Yeah.
who knows if Tom Cruise will be around anymore, and that'd be pathetic. Took
Well,
30 years to
nowadays they
make
could
the
probably
last
CGI him back in with all the AI that we have. He can live for
That's true.
1,000 years for all we know. But
one.
last
And you don't
one.
have to pay him.
This is kind of big in the gaming world. So Assassin's Creed, which I know you've heard of, they just released the concept of their newest one, which comes out at the end of the year. And
Another movie that didn't do well.
yeah, it really didn't.
Michael
So
Fassbender, right? Yeah.
oh wait, was that Assassin's Creed or Prince of Persia?
No, I thought he was Assassin's Creed.
Let's look that up.
Wasn't Prince of Persia Jake Gyllenhaal?
Gyllenhaal.
I didn't see
right?
either
Jake
of them.
Assassin's
Gyllenhaal, sorry. I don't know as well as you.
He's my best friend. He did great, and you should watch Roadhouse with Dad. It's terrible, but so Assassin's Creed movie.
Yeah, that's Michael Fassbender.
Michael Fassbender, a solid 18% on Rotten Tomatoes. When was this? When did this come out? 2016.
A while ago. Yeah, it was a while ago. Big stars in it.
Director, Assassin's Creed, $125 million budget. So then who did
Prince of Persia. I think it was Jake Gyllenhaal.
Saddens me that you know this. Wow, that was 2010. God damn. Wow. Yeah, good call, Mom. Jake Gyllenhaal.
But, Woo.
Yeah, trivia.
Didn't see either of them, people. Huh?
Solid 50% on Metacritic and 36 on Rotten Tomatoes. That's what we like to see.
Yeah.
You never I don't know why they never do well, but I mean, again, you just have to follow the goddamn script that they give you. Whatever. But
Yeah, I don't know these shows. So what's the story with this one?
so a couple things. This is kind of like my memo to all the gamers out there. So what they're doing with this one, it takes place in feudal Japan, right?
Yeah.
Japanese samurais and stuff. But it's a black samurai. So it's actually the story of the first black samurai, which I believe was a real person. But the people are here's where the sticklers come in. They're like, well, he was a real guy. He wasn't an actual samurai. He was a sword bearer who brought swords to the samurai. And the problem with this, so this week we had Ghost of Tsushima come out, which is a remake for PC. It came out on PS4 many years ago. It's known as one of the best PS4 games. It's a very good game. We played through it like last year or something. And this is the year of all the Souls games that your son is platinumed all. It's no big deal. But you have the soul. Yeah. The fact that we're celebrating grandma's 90th and not my platinum party is insane. Just throwing that out there. But
Okay.
everyone's going down this route of the Elden Souls game genre. So Assassin's Creed's doing this same thing, which I'm always been a fan of. I actually like the new Assassin's Creeds, which are more RPG.
Okay.
But here's the problem. People are complaining, oh, there was never actually an African-American samurai. He was actually this sword bearer. And my thing to all these people is we are so deprived right now of video games in the sense of nothing's been good. And all the games that were good are shooting themselves in the foot right now. That
Right.
why complain? Just enjoy it, you know?
Right.
And that's that was my MO to all the people to kind of like, it doesn't mean that much to you. I just want a good video game. I don't care if it's a samurai with laser beams. If it's a good game, I do not care. And I think most people are in the same boat. So to all the people who are like, how could they do this to an Assassin's Creed game? Shut up. Shut up.
It's not
Enough with the samurais. What?
not really meant to be from the past, correct?
No, it is. Assassin's Creed is a historical game.
So it takes place in ancient Japan?
Yeah, during a time where this guy was a real, like, this is based off the true story of a guy named something Japanese, but he was an African American samurai. But people say, it's based on a true samurai who was African American. But people say, like, who clearly are historians, apparently, who play video games, I guess, are saying he wasn't a samurai, he was a sword bearer for a samurai. So he brought his swords to his master, quote unquote. And I guess during a war or something, there's stories of him picking up a sword and fighting. So it's based on this guy. It's loosely based, but still, I'm not mad about it.
Right. I mean, you're not telling history, and it's, like, not trying to convey a message about history. It's for entertainment purposes, and you're drawing on a legend. Yeah. I don't have a problem with that. I have a problem with things like, Hamilton being the founding fathers in Hamilton being black individuals. You could do it on the stage, but it's an unusual rendition.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense. But again, we're talking. I just want something good. If it's entertaining, I don't care, right? Exactly. If I have to go, if we're not even talking about something that's so out of the realm. This is based on a true person, right? So that's why it doesn't bother me. One of the best movies of all time is John Hamm and Lincoln, where he's killing the vampires.
Right. Well, but yeah, and I agree with you. I mean, it's just purely for entertainment. Yeah. But, for those people who complain, I always have the comparison. As long as you don't have a problem with a white man playing Martin Luther King.
Yeah, right, but you wouldn't do that.
Why not?
Yeah.
If I have black people portraying Hamilton.
Right. I'm on your side of that. I'm just saying I don't care. Yeah, if it's good. It just doesn't make sense.
Well, and that's why I agree. If you're doing a historical... Yeah. If you're doing this individual or this character actually existed. They might be stretching the boundaries of what he did to make it entertaining. That's fine. That happens all the time in movies. But it's based on a real character with a fictitious story.
Yeah.
I just have a problem where they just change it because, of DEI. We got to put extra black people in. I have no problem with adding individuals who, from any background, if it's an extra character. Then I don't need to see all one race in a show. But if the show's about race, like Martin Luther King or the founding fathers, there's a point why there were no. And by putting black people in there, it's confusing because we had slavery then. Why would you think that they're part of the Congress back in the 1700s?
It does make sense.
That's when I say, like, it's kind of ridiculous to put black people in there.
Yeah. Again, there's a time and a place for everything. And when we're talking history, if it was a white guy, have a white guy. If it was a black guy, have a black guy. That's...
Yeah, if race was about their personhood and the message they were doing. If you're just an extra in a show, I agree. Mix it up. That's the world today. But I do think it's starting to get very forced, if you will.
Absolutely.
The whole concept of, statistically, you would think if you watch commercials today that, I don't know, at least 50% of the couples out there are mixed race couples.
Yeah, which is not necessarily true.
No, it is not true. And there's nothing wrong with it. But are you trying to reflect society or are you trying to change society? What are you trying to do here? So anyhow.
Yeah.
That's the same thing with, like, Hamilton. Are you trying to reflect society? Because you can't change the past. It's what it is. Right. You're not changing, the founding fathers by doing that. And in this case, they're reflecting what actually happened back then.
Yeah.
I think, to be.
Yeah. People are upset. Yeah. People are upset because Assassin's Creed's always been historically based. And then people complain, this is not historical. None of them are historically accurate except for the time, right? The time period. So the time period is accurate. The person's a real person. The story's pretty damn close. Besides being, it's better. It's more close than some of the movies we've seen that come out today that are quote unquote historical. Okay. So, I'm excited for this. I'm excited for a good Assassin's Creed. Valhalla was phenomenal, which was the last big one. There was one in between called Mirage, which was but Valhalla is amazing. So again, I'm weird because I like the new Assassin's Creed. There's a big schism in the Assassin's Creed world, Mom, which is the old style of stealth games you know me, I don't have the patience for that shit. So I
Right.
like the RPGs, which are a lot better, where I can just run around and kill things.
Yes,
Take on
I've heard that
7
many
dudes.
times. I've heard that many times when you've had your headset on next to me down here in the basement about the RPGs.
Yeah, exactly. Well, no, that's you're talking Warzone where someone's shooting me with a goddamn RPG. RPG
No, it
stands
has to be
for
RPG.
RPG stands for role playing game. So that's
Okay.
like a story, leveling system, all that stuff. So those are the fun ones. I'm trying to think of an example of a game that you would know that would be an RPG, but I don't think your video game knowledge isn't up to par. Skyrim is probably the closest.
It's weak. I
Weak, yeah.
agree. I just think in general, the gaming community needs to calm down a little bit if they're getting that upset.
I would argue. I'm willing to bet. I'll put
Anger.
$1,000 down. I'm willing to bet the people that are even bringing this up are people that don't even play the games. 100%.
Probably. Yeah,
100%.
probably.
They just need some. They just need. I saw an article the other day that was so, like, it was so obvious they didn't play the game or whatever it was that I don't know how they have a job. I'm like, did you lie? It's like the ultimate lie on a resume. That's what it felt like. So
No, oftentimes with these school boards, where people are pushing, certain agendas that are well, I think they work against children, and there's when they start asking and doing statistics on the people that are pro these, very pro LGBTQ sexualization courses and whatnot, many of them don't even have children.
oh yeah. I saw a whole statistic on that. It's like 60-something% of
It's a
of
huge
people in the LGBT
percentage
don't
of
even have
them.
kids.
Right, that are out there like fighting the good fight, or so they believe, pushing an agenda on parents that don't want this for their kids, and meanwhile they don't even have kids in the school
Yeah.
system.
One thing that bothered me the other day was, Elliot Page, the one that had I don't know if I'm sorry if I'm dead naming or whatever. I don't remember what the
You
original.
are.
Oh, is it?
Oh no. Yes, her original name was Ellen, but now it's a he, and she's a he, and it's
Right.
Elliot.
So they were talking about, or there was some interview on how big the LGBTQ community is now and how all these kids are coming out about it, right? And I go, well, that's not true. The reason all these kids are coming out because media's confused the absolute shit out of them at the age of 5, and then you have this being shoved down their throats. When I was 5 years old, all I wanted to do was go on the playground. I wasn't thinking about what my sexual orientation was. That's the one thing I will never understand about and I have friends in the LGBT community pretty deep, and even they're like, yeah, no, that's not why we're here. I saw
I'll tell you why it's perverse too. Any parent who's raised a kid, I don't care who you are and what your ideology is, by nature, when kids are little, unless they're in some sort of wackadoodle dysfunctional home, and yes, there are many of those, anytime you bring up the topic with a little kid, they're going to be like, ew. They
Yeah.
don't want to talk about boy-girl stuff. It's
Cooties.
ew. Right. And that's like nature's way of resisting what their brain is not capable of dealing with right
And now you're
now,
trying to
regardless of
trick
what
them.
the body's at.
Yeah. I saw something the other day. This is a slightly off topic, but slightly on topic. It was a guy talking about, he was in the LGBT, or is in the LGBT, he's a very gay man. And he was talking about the cross-dressing, right? And he was talking about, remember when, I think it was Florida, where kids were at these shows?
Yeah, the drag
Right, the drag shows. And someone asked him a question like, what would happen back in the day? Because he was the old style of, I guess, back in the 90s. And he said, oh, the whole thing would be shut down. Like, we would not allow kids in there. We would say, take your kids, get out. We're not doing a show for kids. So it goes to show, like, the LGBTQ community of 10, 20 years ago has a completely different mindset than what's today. And it's not for the better. So there was some kind of disconnect. And the disconnect is the people that are vouching for this stuff to happen who aren't even of the LGBT community. It's people that just want to be involved, who just want to see the destruction or the, I guess, change, if you will. So that's what I mean. It's
So many of them, in my opinion, it's a reality. They have nothing better to do with their time or their lives.
And they think they're making
very
a change.
empty lives. And they're preying on children. They took advantage of the COVID experience because these kids were in front of a screen 24/7, and they were able to see things. And now they're in their homes, in their faces, in their minds, on their phones, and it's 24/7 with the social media. And you had depressed kids who were in home all day. They weren't socializing. They weren't doing anything. Then you give them the fear mongering of COVID, And it was very easy to go in and say, you know what? You're not depressed. You're a girl who wants to be a boy.
Yeah. That's just how bad it's gotten. But all right, Mom, we just did an hour and a half. That was one of the longer podcasts we've done in a while.
Yeah, we had a lot of articles.
Yeah, we did. Good conversation. Way better than the last one where we had technical difficulties. I told you I got my third monitor back, so I'm happy.
Oh, good.
I got a new one. Thank
goodness.
It's called a Kuwui. Chinese, but or Japanese, I believe. Really good. It's a solid monitor. Yeah, I like to think. I only watch my animes on that monitor now.
Got a system there, huh?
Yeah, I know. No, I'm just saying because it's Japanese, so I feel like I would be. It wouldn't be right if I was watching Japanese anime on a Samsung.
American one. You can't do an American one.
Even though I think they're all Japanese. I'm pretty sure Samsung's Japanese.
Yeah, it comes off the same production line. They just changed the sticker on
Yeah,
it.
exactly. It's all the same parts, but all right, Mother. I guess we can call it there. I didn't ask for any podcast questions this week. Next week is next week the last one of the month? Is that when we do another live podcast, Mother? Could it be? I think so. I think it is.
Yes, next weekend is the last full weekend. It's Memorial Day weekend.
Okay. I mean, we could do a live podcast next week. 1, 2, 3. Yep.
If you're down. I think I'm around.
The 25th.
Yes.
We could pick a time.
Should be.
Hopefully my internet gets fixed this week because I still can't figure it out. I called them and they said they would check on it, and yesterday it was really bad. So I was very mad.
You were still having issues. Is it the same thing as before?
Same thing as before. I called the lady directly who actually remembered me from when I called back in January. So I left a good impression, but now I have to yell at her because if I'm paying for 35 megabytes upload and I'm only getting 9, that makes me mad.
You want 35.
Yeah.
That's right. Or you get a credit on your account.
Yeah. Yeah. Or Optimum if you want to sponsor me, you bullshit monopoly. Because I can't get MetroNet or whatever the hell it's called here. Thanks.
Yeah, that'll work if you call them a bullshit monopoly. And
hey, listen here, CAO, you dumbass.
They're the best.
Guess what? No. Yeah. I'll take a sponsorship. Sorry, no, I'm kidding. But
you trash them.
I would really like someone to fix my internet after 4 months. Is that fair to say, Mr. CEO of Optimum? So
it's fair.
All right. Well, either way, Mom, the only things I have to promote is we have speed runs coming up because I've been practicing some, which we have to do because I'm a couple months behind on those, honestly. But I've been traveling, so that. And then I put out a video on Hades 2, which is a phenomenal game. Go check that out. And that's pretty much it. So social media, promo code, stream links, Discord down below for questions for the podcast. Don't forget to follow the Podcast Clips channel. So remember, the podcast channel is completely separate. And hopefully we'll see you guys next week for the live podcast. So you guys have a good one.